what I have heard from this album hasn't really impressed me. It doesn't really sound like Green Day, but this just sounds so middle of the road. It's no secret that I am a pretty big Green Day fan. I've been a fan since I was a small child. I credit them as being one of the first bands to really get me into music. It was Green Day, the Beatles, and someone else. The Bare Naked Ladies, probably. Green Day has been a constant in my life. Their music soundtracked my childhood, my angst-ridden adolescence, and my young adulthood. American Idiot is one of my favorite albums of all time. I even did the musical when I was in college. They went from a scrappy little Bay Area punk band to one of the biggest and most beloved bands in all of music history. Then they released Father of All, and their reputation never recovered.
Give me a fucking break!
Hello, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Trevor, and I am eternally uncool. I make videos about music, music culture, and anything that interests me. But mostly music right now. So if that sounds like something you'd be into, then I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and watching the rest of this video. Green Day has some all-time classic albums under their belt. Dookie, Insomniac, American Idiot, 21st Century Breakdown, Revolution Radio. They also have some not-so-classic albums, like the Uno Dos Tres trilogy. But I think the least loved of all of their albums has got to be Father of All Motherfuckers. I have not been kind to Green Day's Father of All. Out of all the videos I've made about Green Day on this channel, I always mention how much I hate Father of All. I've said nothing but bad things about it. Father of All has been a punching bag on this channel for a year and a half. But recently I got to wondering, am I wrong? Maybe it's not that bad. When I was making my last Green Day video, I listened to a little bit of Father of All, and I found myself actually liking it. So I decided to give it another chance and see if I can find something I like about the album. Because there's gotta be something. I'm going to do my best to defend Green Day's worst album. Grab a drink, grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's get into the video.
God.
Yeah.
I think it's like a combination of, it's kind of a political, but it also kind of deals in sort of depression. And I mean, the first time I have ever written about money.
Prior to the release of Father of All, Green Day's last studio album was 2016's Revolution Radio. Revolution Radio was a pretty successful album for Green Day, garnering hits like Still Breathing, Bang Bang, getting critical acclaim, and appearing on multiple year-end lists. Revolution Radio is a great album. It's more mature and mixes the band's classic pop-punk sound with a more grandiose feel, similar to albums like American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown. It showed the band going in a more mature direction, but also not getting boring. It was still the punk that we loved them for, but less snotty and more introspective. In December of 2018, Billy Joe Armstrong announced that the band was working on material for their next album. He's quoted as saying that they wanted to make a sort of old-timey rock and roll record that traces the history of rock and roll.
Now, we're lifelong fans of, you know, the history of rock and roll, and anything from, like, you know, Motown music to old, like, Little Richard to glam rock and hard rock at the 70s and Van Halen in the 80s, and, you know.
See, that sounds promising. Green Day has incorporated classic rock elements in their music multiple times. So it makes sense that they would want to make an album that pays homage to these influences. He said the artists that influenced this new record were T-Rex, Mott the Hoople, Martha and the Vandellas, MC5, and Prince. Okay, the influences sound good. So how do they introduce us to this new old-timey rock and roll sound?
We have a new single out called Father of All, and it's kind of like Hawaii 5-0 meets Rick James.
You know what? I'm not even gonna lie to you. The title track, pretty damn good. I didn't like it when it came out, and I really didn't like it for a long time after that. But I think I used this song in another Green Day video as an example of why Father of All sucked. And even then, when I was making that video and I was editing it, I was sitting there listening to it and I was like, damn, you know what? This is actually pretty good. But I didn't want to admit it at the time. So I kept pretending like the song was bad. But it's really not. It has a garage rock vibe to it. I definitely hear the MC5 and T-Rex influence. And Billy Joe's vocals are really interesting. The verses are kind of high-pitched and don't really sound like him, which really turned me off at first. I really didn't like that.
It's like, what the fuck you doing?
But the more I listened to it, the more I appreciated it as an artistic choice. It's a very high-energy song. A great introduction to the album.
Let's talk about this, your brilliant new album, Father of All.
And we take our pants off cause it's hot in our bedroom, and that's where I'm filming. Father of All Mother Fluffers was released on February 7th, 2020. The album had some pretty decent promotion besides that one billboard. Father of All had a music video, along with a second single, Fire, Ready, Aim. Fire, Ready, Aim was used as the official opening theme song for the NHL's Wednesday Night Hockey. Fire, Ready, Aim is another song that has a very definite garage rock vibe. I feel like that's what they were going for with this album. It also has a real dance punk vibe to it, but like, less electronic than what we typically think of dance punk. My only problem is the vocals sound like they're mixed so low, and the instrumentation and the hand claps are just at the forefront. Maybe it was just the volume on my laptop, I don't know. Really, Amazon? They released a third single called Oh Yeah, which samples the Joan Jett cover of the Gary Glitter song Do You Wanna Touch Me? Gary Glitter was a glam rocker in the 60s and 70s who's now more famous for being a
pedophile.
Green Day acknowledged that Gary Glitter is fucked up and donated all of the money that the song made to charities that help those affected by what people like Gary Glitter do. Oh Yeah is a very arena-ready song, especially considering it takes influence from one of the biggest arena rock songs of all time. It's a good song. If I was at a sporting event, which is highly unlikely, I mean, look at me, and this song was playing, I would get pumped up. I'd be going wild, cheering for my team.
Yeah, make a field goal or fucking whatever.
It's not as energetic as Father of All or Fire Ready Aim. It's definitely more like scaled back than those two songs, but still a really good pump-up song.
Pump it up, pump it, pump it, pump it.
They had another single and music video released around the same time as the album release. This song was called Meet Me on the Roof. I think this one has got to be my favorite out of all of the singles. And not just because the music video features Dustin from Stranger Things. This song just sounds like classic, jangly garage rock. There's a 60s rock vibe to it that's real sunny and bright. It's just such a feel-good song. Green Day were going to promote the album further by going on the Hella Mega Tour with Fall Out Boy and Weezer, but as we all know, Big Rona came to town and kinda
fucked up everyone's plans.
So they postponed it for a year, which probably isn't awesome when you're trying to promote your new album. And by the time they did actually get to go out on the tour, people felt the way they felt about the album. Especially that
fucking billboard.
It was a polarizing album. It was a polarizing album, to say the least. It had a 68 out of 100 Metacritic score, which indicates generally favorable reviews, but it was also on Loudwire's worst albums of the 21st century list. Kerrang gave the album 4 out of 5 stars, saying, Father of All is just another sign of a band who have always done things their way, refusing to do what's expected of them. But then Sputnik Music gave it a 1.5 out of 5, calling it a hot mess that destroys any hope that Green Day could reemerge as a band worth listening to. The good reviews were praising Green Day for their progression and experimentation and just doing what they do best, while the negative reviews were pretty much saying Green Day had lost it. And I have to be honest, I fit into this latter category. But I'm all for second chances. There's 10 songs on the album. The first 4 are the singles that we already discussed. I like those songs. They're all pretty damn good songs. So I pretty much already enjoy almost half of this album. So let's see if the rest of the album is as good as the first half. I Was a Teenager probably has the best song title on the entire album. It has a great opening bass line from Mike Dirnt too. Teenager has that same kind of 60s garage rock feel as Meet Me on the Roof. It's very upbeat and sunny when it kicks into the actual song. Lyrics about being a teenager and the trials and tribulations that one goes through in their adolescence, which the band knows a lot about, having been teenagers themselves, and raising teenagers. It's a good song. I can definitely see myself coming back to this one. Stab at Your Heart almost feels like a reprise of the opening track. It has that same kind of energy, but this one has a bit more of a surf rock vibe mixed with the arena rock of Oh Yeah. Definitely a pump-up jam.
Pump it, pump it, pump it.
Or a song I would listen to on my commute to work and get ready to be an actual human being for the day. Sugar Youth would make a great band name. And if anyone watching does use that as their band name, all I ask is that you credit me in the liner notes and float me some free merch. I'm a medium. The song is pretty good. There's parts of it that really remind me of American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown and Green Day's more concept-driven albums. Junkies on a High is a bit more slower and sludgier than the other songs we've heard so far. A lot darker, too. It's alright. I don't think that it has the energy that the rest of the songs have. Kinda ruins the flow a little bit for me. But I guess you need a song like that to give the listener a kind of respite. I will say though, the line, "My pride is my pornography," great line. Good songwriting, guys. Take the Money and Crawl kind of starts with this spaghetti western thing before kicking into a song that sounds kind of similar to the opening track. Just a real high energy banger. I really like the guitar on this track. Actually, you know what? The guitar work on the entire album is really fucking good. So is the bass and the drums. The band really went all out for this album, and it shows. Graffitia is a pretty solid closer. It's definitely like the glammiest of all the songs on this album. This song definitely sounds like it could have been on American Idiot or 21st Century Breakdown or a more rock opera-esque album from Green Day. I love the incorporation of a piano. It's such a little detail, but it adds so much. This is definitely a song I've come back to since listening to this album again. Hell, I put it on my commute playlist and it came on when I was going to work this morning and I got so hype.
So hype.
It's just so high energy, it's fun. There's enough going on to keep me interested, but not so much that it's just overdone. Pretty awesome song to end the album on.
This is a true story. We're like, what if we fucked with everybody and called the record American Idiot Part 2?
Did I really just enjoy 95% of Green Day's Father of All after shitting on it for multiple videos? Yes. Yes, I did. And I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong. And I was very wrong about this album. Father of All is a good album. Is it a masterpiece? No. But it's good. It's not this horrendous piece of garbaggio I was led to believe it was by the tone-deaf marketing that
Fucking billboard.
It's actually a pretty adventurous album by a well-established band who still has a few tricks up their sleeves. You don't see that very often. Most of the times bands get huge and cement themselves in the annals of rock and roll history and just get comfy. And then all of their albums start to sound the same. You two. But Green Day experimented with a different sound, and I think it really worked. Will Father of All be Green Day's Pinkerton? 10 years from now, will we see a re-evaluation of this album as some kind of underrated masterpiece? Will this become Green Day's magnum opus? Who knows? But I will say, it's not their worst. Far from it. What do you think? Are you a fan of Father of All? Or do you think it's stinky, poo-poo garbage? Let me know in the comments. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, then I highly recommend smashing the like button and sharing this video with everyone you know. I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2024, and we are getting very close.
Very close.
And every like, comment, share, any interaction with this video at all really helps to get it pushed out to more people who might be interested in what I'm doing. With all that being said, thank you for watching. As always, I'm Trevor. Stay uncool. And that's the end of the video. Goodbye.